All right, hello everyone, and welcome back to Daily Update of my 1000 Days Challenge. This is day 102, so let's get things started. First and foremost, you'll notice in terms of the current balance, right, it's a little bit down, like what I mentioned yesterday. There's still the experimental trade setup having the difference and a little bit increase of loss due to the Bitcoin actually range bounding in that region. So it's something I'm trying to see how I can filter up in terms of my more systematic kind of trading approach. Because visually, when it comes to price action, it's clearer that I can see that it's range bounding. Yeah, at the same time, it's a little bit difficult to determine or subjectively or objectively determine that it's in the range bounding matter, especially on the shorter time frame per se. Meaning to say I want to filter out the noise, but at the same time, I still want the right signal to be captured in that sense. All right, so that's something that I'm trying to explore and learn how to manage it better. All right, and in terms of the market update, yesterday was a very interesting day. As you can see, for the S&P 500 actually started out near almost all-time high or over here at 3583, and then it spiked all the way up to really all-time high before spiking all the way back down. So to me, this is potentially like what would people call something like a forced breakout. So even though it break nicely above, it didn't really sustain much momentum. That said, as long as it remains above this 3,500 region today, then I would say it leans towards further potential towards the upside. That's where potentially I could still add even at this price level. However, if today we actually fall below this trend line, then I will lean towards short-term correction that we could be correcting further into this triangle-like pattern. All right, so that's for S&P 500, and similarly, you see the same thing for Nasdaq, but Nasdaq is actually more bearish in that sense. It didn't make an all-time high. Instead, it actually has a very clear force breakout kind of setup. So yeah, if I were to look at Nasdaq alone, I'll lean towards further corrective pattern within this triangle-like pattern as well. Yep. All right, then for ASHR, even though it actually broke above, so things are looking bullish, yet there's also the bearishness in that sense for ASHR as well. So it'll be very interesting to see tomorrow or even the day after, especially when tomorrow is 11/11, which also happens to be one of the greatest shopping day in terms of the China Singles Days per se. So that typically affects your e-commerce web companies such as your Tencent and also Alibaba. And because of that, the impact of it may be also cascaded down to other companies as well. So they'll more likely be affected in terms of KWEB, and KWEB you can see there's a very nice bearish engulfing candlestick over here. So thing does looks a little bit bearish, which is not exactly bad for me because if it does fall down, I still have a lot of cash in position ready to add in that sense. And lastly, for Bitcoin itself, so potentially it could follow the traditional market and retrace significantly down to near this 14,000 mark. And as long as it is supported, heavily supported at least 20 exponential moving average, or this horizontal resistance at 14,000, I'll be leaning towards stronger bounce towards the upside and still lean towards the long bullishness. And in terms of 4-hourly chart, what I do see over here is like what I mentioned, this is still potentially a consolidation pattern, and if we retest the third time at this 16,000 mark and break above there is where I'll look to enter a long setup. So in terms of comments, what over here is remain exactly the same, even though there's some changes in terms of the market structure on the daily and also on the 4-hourly chart. I'm not too particularly concerned. Like I mentioned, right now it looks to be more like a very nice consolidation pattern still. As long as price remains above this 50 simple moving average on the 4-hourly chart, I lean towards the further upside in terms of breaking out, in which case we could potentially be hitting near these 19,000, 18,900 mark or somewhere around there. So typically you see over here, it tends to fall right below because that's where resistance, people start to put their sell order above here. So I would expect if it does break above nicely, we could potentially be seeing between 18,000 to 18,500. There will be a very probable range to hit. All right, otherwise that's about it, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Bye bye.